Welcome back to another episode of Abbotsford Icons. Today I have here with me Joel Karlsson, owner of Integrity Junk Removal. Joel, welcome.
Thank you, Gary.
Pleasure meeting you. Thanks for taking the time. Let's start with your story of how you got started with your business.
Yeah, great question. So if I think you might have known because you look at my website, is that I have two sons that have autism. That was shocking to our family. And when we found that out, then we had to figure out, well, okay, how does work fit into that kind of a situation? How can I be a part of being available to my wife from time to time? We actually went through social services for a period of time where we would take three of the kids out of my home and go and have stay in a hotel for a week while my wife stayed with the one son that we had that was the most challenging. And we did that for 6 months. And, a shout out to the Sandman Hotel. They were extremely kind to us. They even extended their pool and hot tub area at a different location for our family. But we made it through that, and then finally my son was placed into full-time care where he has two medical supervisors with him each day. And we still had my one son who had autism at home, and we'd made a decision at that time that I should be doing something so that I could continue to be closer to the family, and that's when we started the company. We actually started as a liquidation company. But within about 6 months, my wife was like, honey, I love you so much. And I can see you have this entrepreneurial flair, but our house is full of items. I realized that it was a great need. And then we began Integrity Junk Removal.
And what year was that?
2016.
2016. And what were you doing before that?
So I sold cellular phones for 20 years to B2B for business. And then from 2000 to 2008, my friend and I had an English as a second language school. And unfortunately, due to the financial economy worldwide, that is gone. But we had kids from Japan and Korea and Taiwan. And it's one of those things, I got to be honest with you, it's a bit of a sore spot to talk about, just because we thought that was going to be my future. I thought I was going to travel around the world and bring people to our school.
Yeah.
I went in a little bit into cybersecurity for a while, but when I was doing cybersecurity, I did that from home. And I could just see the unraveling of my family with the circumstances with my son. And then I realized, no, I've just got to be 100% committed to the family. And as soon as my son, we finally got him into full-time care, within 2 weeks, I started the company.
Huge shout out to your wife for in a lot of the books. So.
Yes, children's author, intermediary with all of these different organizations, with Ministry of Social Services in regards to children. So we had all kinds of continued communication with them. And even though he's been placed for almost 8 years, we have involvement with him 2 or 3 times a week. I take him for breakfast at Cora's every Wednesday.
No, thank you for sharing that story, Joel. Mental health is obviously it's a big issue in our community, and a lot of times it's families not having access to services or people don't know what to do. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, talking about mental health, since we talked about that, you'll see that my tag phrase is take back your space. So for me, in regards to junk removal, I believe that covers several areas. One is the mental space area. Because, Gary, you give your wife a kiss goodnight, but she's mentioned to you 11 times, hey, I'd really like to be able to park the second car in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in the back of your mind, right? For other people, it's a little bit more serious, where it can be, even come along the line of, people refer to them as collectors, where people through mental health have challenges with their whole house being filled with items, and other members of the family having to intervene in some circumstances. But yeah, I feel that, taking back your space, the idea of our company is really like it's a mental, it's emotional, it's a physical, and it's a literal. And all those things, they all join together in a way that creates a stronger base for the family
Yeah.
when those areas are not a concern. And that's another reason why, talking about take back your space, we don't accept credit cards. And we don't accept credit cards because of the fact I feel it's an area where people can have mental challenge and difficulty. I'm the only company that does that. But like it's so, for example, Gary, if I have a situation and somebody says to me, oh, hey, I'd like to get these items removed, but do you accept credit card? I say, no, I don't accept credit cards, but we could do something with you where we'll do it for you over the next 6 weeks. You could pay a portion for it now and a portion in 2 weeks and a portion later, right? And that's just the way that I've tried to approach things. And I know that that's different, but I think it's the right way to do things because I think that credit cards at times, if people are not able to manage them, can cause a lot of stress and pain.
No, that's right. And with credit card comes a lot of responsibility of using it wisely. So before I was getting ready for this interview, I spent quite a bit of time researching your website. So thank you for sharing those three areas. Another interesting thing that I noticed is you have a network for single moms and families for stuff that you do collect and you think it's in good condition. You give that back to the network.
Yeah. So, I mean, we just had something the other day where I got a couple sterilizers. If you don't know what a sterilizer is, anybody that's over 60 would know. Basically, you have multi floors to like a cathedral entrance, using the real estate term, where you come in from the bottom, and then there's that staircase that you go up, which is quite a steep staircase, and then you have your main floor upstairs. So I happened to do a job for someone who had been put into a care facility, and the family said, this works. Like, I've got the remote control, I've got the manuals, I've got everything. It even had an invoice with it for $3,100. But I have a friend of mine, and my friend said, hey, I've got a nephew, and he repairs these and sells them at a significant discount for seniors. It's his mission field is to help senior citizens. And so I just kept everything temporarily in storage and then met with him, and then I was able to just provide it to him. So, yeah, so that's one example. But I have a wagon at my house right now for a family that lives on a farm that we're going to give them for their little kids, right? And secondhand clothing, we do that. We've donated over $100,000 worth of items in the last 7.5 years. And I just grew up. My grandfather, he was very involved in always teaching me about shopping secondhand and the value of things. And that's part of the reason why my company is called Integrity. I looked to my grandfather and I saw he's an extremely hardworking man, and just the way that he did things. So I've tried to follow in some of those steps that he made those choices. But I love connecting with different people. I've dropped off barbecues, I've dropped off couches, I dropped off all kinds of different things to people that I just know that it would be valuable to them, and that's just kind of grown as I've had the company for the last 7.5 years.
One of the other interesting things that I've learned from our conversation today and talking before is the way you built your business is through the word of serving others and treating everyone as a human being. Can you expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, Gary, that's I mean, if there's one thing that's important in our society right now, it's caring for other people. I don't know why it is that that's not important to some people. So whether I happen to be out somewhere and see somebody who has a shopping cart, and obviously that's their home, that's their domicile. That person, I would say, hey, I'm going over to A&W. Can I get you a burger or, whatever. I just think it's really important to respect and value people. And I just think for some reason we may pass one another on the street, but not take the time to find out more about the heart of a person and what's important to them, what drives them, hopes and dreams they have. I just love people. I love connecting with people. I love helping people, and I love seeing people's lives transformed.
Well, that's cool because listening to you obviously talk now for a couple of minutes, it's very clear that you have a clear passion for helping others, but also coming back to helping others and caring for others. It's a huge aspect that we're missing right now in our society. Maybe it's a lot of it's due to people being busy right now, so they feel disconnected after COVID. And we were talking about that, or it's just the fast pace of life or technology, right? So I think the one big aspect that we're missing in society and business is kindness and caring for others. If those two things were happening, 99% of the issues that are happening across the world would be gone.
Yeah.
And it would be a better place. So I really do believe kindness is a superpower, and that's how I build my business through kindness and
Yeah.
care for people. Because when you care for people, they open up, they share their story of what they want to do, what their hopes are, and you figure out a way of, okay, this is their story. How can we move forward with helping them? And that doesn't have to be a real estate move, but it could be anything, right? So thank you for sharing that. So when you started your business, Joel, did you start out here in Abbotsford?
We were living in Surrey, and there was a house that was going through
Yeah.
probate, which you may be familiar
Yeah.
with that terminology, of the family. And so we were asked, "Hey, could you come out and stay in this house?" And so we did. And then kind of the other things transpired with the challenges with our son and things like that. Yeah, so we just made Abbotsford our home. Been out about here almost 10 years now. I like the area. Not as big as Vancouver, not as small as Chilliwack. It seems like there's a lot of farmers here. There's lots of people who, it seems to be a relatively tight community.
It's a tight knit community, and you see that whenever there's something that happens, the community comes together. We saw that.
Abby strong.
Be strong. And how many people are on your team?
I would say I have about 7 people that work with me. Several of them are from the Ukraine, they're, talking about kindness and things like that. I mean, I don't know about you, but I could not imagine going to another country, not having work because of the fact that the business that I had started with my family, another country invaded us. That's basically what happened. That's why I have these workers from the Ukraine with me. I work with them on goal setting and working with them on discovering their own personal values, because then those values can kind of propel them towards what it is that they would like to do in the future. So I'm not going to take all the credit for the accomplishments that my guys have, but I do feel that I have had a small part in being able to provide a level of stability, provide a level of a mirror for them to be able to bounce things off. And I feature each one of my guys. If people have go to my website, they'll see that I talk about each one of my guys. I have a picture of them and a description about them, what I like about them. And the people that I have, I'm very, very thankful that they work with me, because I always feel that when we leave from a project, that my people, they serve, they respect, and they value other people like I do, and that's mirrored out in each project that we've done.
Cool. And when you get a call from homeowners, what kind of services are they looking to get help from you?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It all depends. The construction side, where people are like, "Hey, we just ripped out the kitchen. We have all these cabinets. Can you come and take them away?" kind of thing. To the grandma who's tried to get her son 16 times to come over and pick up the sofa bed that she has but won't come. To, this is a difficult time for our family. We just lost this relative. Could you come and take a look at our circumstances? And then, like, literally clearing out like a whole house or a 2-bedroom condo or 1-bedroom apartment. It all depends. And then also we get a lot of people who we've just finalized putting a member of our family into Tabor or Primrose or those kinds of, or Menno. just Menlo Place or different places where they would then be going for extended period of time to end of life.
Mm.
And so there's a lot there. The difference with our company, as I said, we donate over $100,000 in items in the last 7.5 years, but I've also made calls and sent texts of pictures of, hey, I found this solid gold ring with diamonds in it, or I found this or whatever. And I don't know whether or not you realize that that was within these items that were being removed. So that's part of it. But then the second thing is a lot of people, they love the fact that we recycle. And I'm really, really passionate about recycling. And I think I even mentioned it to you when I first met you, telling you about, if I was a senior citizen and you asked me to put glass jars into some kind of little shopping cart and bring them to some place in the middle of winter, and I slipped and fell and broke my hip, I would sue the city of Abbotsford. And I'm happy to say that the city of Abbotsford has now introduced a glass jar recycling program. And that's fantastic.
People don't realize when people have lived in a home for 20 to 30 years, they're always buying stuff.
Yeah.
Or where they've had kids that have grown up, they've left. So what they do is there's a lot of stuff stored away in closets. I don't think a lot of people realize until they're making a move that, hey, we have a lot of stuff here in the closet, garage that needs to go. And one of the things that I do as being a listing agent is when I'm working with my clients is when we get the home ready to be listed is one of the most common things that I notice is the home's very cluttered with stuff. So what that involves is moving some of the stuff out to storage or contacting you to pick up extra stuff that they don't need anymore, right?
Yeah, well, I've just in regards to that, I just think of one particular project where the people they're just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
They're just like literally overwhelmed. They lived there is a place in Langley. It was like a 250 square foot shop kind of thing with wood and building material for all these different, future projects. But once you made that decision to sell your house, oh, now what, right? You just have, and I think that people have a tendency, they may not mean to, but they're like, I'll hold on to that because I might need that one day. And that, I think, goes back before you and I, it goes back to the Second World War, right? Like you did not throw anything away, right? Because you could possibly use it in order to make something out of it, right? So I think we have a lot of people. I think like if we look at the demographic of the city of Abbotsford, maybe you're having 30-40% of those people who are kind of cusping from the 60s into the 70s and 80s. And with that happening, then you've got the kids that are like, thank you so much that you saved that china cabinet for when I get married, but I'm in a 1-bedroom and that's going to take up 3/4 or, 1/3 of my total floor space in my living room.
No, and it's interesting too, right? And Joel, coming back to that, it's when now people back 20, 30 years ago, maybe the first place they bought was a ranch or home out in East Abbotsford. Now when their kids or grandchildren are buying, it's a 1-bed, 1-bath condo or a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. So what I'm seeing, at least with my clients, is when they're moving into these type of homes, they're buying very minimalistic furniture to move in that doesn't take up much space, and they're really focused on utilizing the space to the best of their capacity.
Yeah, and it's so interesting that my wife talks to me about this all the time about making the absolute best use of the space you have,
Yeah.
right? We live in a society that's just excess.
Yeah.
I also think that sometimes people have spent so much more money on the storage locker over the course of time than they have for what's actually in it. And it does beg the question that if you have a house and your house is full, and then now you have a storage locker, really, what's the point? What are you trying to accomplish? What is, I mean, maybe you need some tires there. Maybe you need to put your boat there. But like, other than that, I'm not 100% sure what you really need in a storage locker these days.
What are some of the coolest things that you found on your job?
I have 3 wrapped, they look like a stamp,
Yeah.
but they're made out of 0.999 silver. and they're from the 1976, I think it's 1976 Montreal Olympics. And so there's like a boxer one, and then there's a curling one. And anyway, so they're just very, very interesting. I mean, there's been so many different things that we come across. Yeah, it's you just you never know. I did see one thing I thought was interesting was as a lady who was 101 years old, and so she had received like a framed matted thing from the federal government
Yeah.
saying, congratulations on your 101st birthday or something like that. So I thought that was pretty unique. So we started something called Second Time Around. We had a single mom who was based in Pitt Meadows, and she would post things on Facebook. And then when she would sell those items, then the profit from them would go to half to the single mom and half to a different orphanage. And one of the things we did just from these items that we ended up selling is we were able to pay for a solar paneled roof for a school.
Oh, wow.
But it seems to me that you have a similar heart that I do, which is we're doing business here locally, but it's impacting internationally.
Yeah.
And, I think that that's the right way to do business. And it's actually called being a social entrepreneur. Business today, a lot of times it's like, hey, I got to go out there. I got to do my business this way. And, that guy, too bad. I guess I undercut him and I'm going to be able to take advantage of that. I'm not like that. I've actually even had different junk removal companies that I've featured on my Facebook page talking about their companies because it's not about like, it's what's best for me. It's what's, it just goes back to who I am. I just care and I want to help people.
And I think that comes back to your core values of how you do things and what you do to give back, right, to your clients and whatnot. No, that's cool. And what I'm even seeing meeting young entrepreneurs today is they're leaving corporate jobs or careers that they no longer like, and they're starting a business with the sense of making a difference in the lives of people that they want to serve or making a difference in that community. You see that at the Mango Market where we met last time.
Yeah.
Or when you go to a Abbotsford Chamber event, you meet other young entrepreneurs where it might be a mom of young children saying, you know what, I left my corporate job, but I'm really passionate about this business idea that I'm starting for people that might have allergies to gluten and whatnot, and the list goes on. And where do you see your business growing in the next 5 to 10 years, Joel?
I have to tell you, I am turning 56 years old.
Yeah.
And there's a secret. Junk isn't light.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
And so what do I see? I see probably, it's hard to say, but I think I see it more where I would have to delegate to people in the truck instead of me being in the truck. I want to continue to be impacting society and transforming our society locally, but affecting internationally. But I am also beginning to start a second career, which is life coaching. And so I'm studying online through an organization out of the UK called Destiny Coaching. And my goal is to one day have an opportunity to speak to 10,000 young people.
And what would be your message to the young people?
About overcoming adversity. I would say in my life that that's probably something that maybe different people have faced adversity, but I know my first wife passed away in 2008 and left me with two boys that were 11 months and 22 months old, and I raised them by myself for 15 months before I remarried. I even had a period of time where I had to live on welfare in order to do that. I think that the young ones that are coming up, they don't understand adversity. And I think that, I don't think, I know that adversity builds character. And from character creates a persona that can be relied upon by other people in circumstances for the future, like way into the future. So I would love the opportunity to be able to speak with young people about realizing, yes, these are the circumstances you may be in currently, but that does not determine your altitude, because a circumstance is something that happens to you, but you have a choice as to how you react to that circumstance. Yeah, would just bring such a great level of peace and joy to my heart to be able to have that opportunity.
No, that's great to hear. I don't know if I ever told you, before getting into real estate, I used to work for a nonprofit where I used to help at-risk kids that were either gang involved or had the potential to be gang involved. So a lot of what that was is just, one thing was just to help them make a plan on what they wanted to pursue to help them get out of trouble. They have an idea of what they want to do. They know what their potential is, but they need a secondary voice that helps guide them, whether it's through a life coach, mentor, to help see them through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once they get through that, I think that's where they overcome the trauma, circumstance that they've been through. They can realize there was a bigger purpose of everything that happened.
So well said.
Yeah.
So well said.
And like you, everyone has a story of a challenge or a situation they've gone through in their life, but that doesn't have to be the ending of their story. They still get to choose how they write the last chapter.
Yeah. I heard a quote about someone that says that is why the front windshield is larger than the back,
Yeah.
because that's where you're going and that's where you're looking. You're looking towards, what are those things going to be for the future, versus hanging out, camping out in the past.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And Joel, what are some of the biggest challenges you see with homeowners when they contact you? And we talked a little bit about this, just let me give you an example. They've lived in this house for 35 years.
Yeah.
They're in the process of downsizing and they've sold their home. What are some of the biggest challenges these folks face close to move out date?
Moving truck comes and everything doesn't fit, right? It's like, okay, we still have the patio set, we still have the bike, we still have the tools over there, we still have, so I think that could be one of the factors. Having done this for 7.5 years, I have actually had, and we've done 2,000 jobs, I have actually made a mistake at times. I remember a particular farm, and there was a particular length of time I had anticipated. Okay, we're bringing 7 people. We're going to polish this off in one day. We had to go back for another 5 hours the next day. So I think what that means is that people, so if I have had all of this experience and now it's just someone who's just selling their home, they don't realize how much they have. And so I think that can be a little bit overwhelming, because like they start, they're excited. You've had an amazing experience with Vybe Realty, where, this is the new address they're going to, is 222 Chattanooga Avenue or whatever. And they're really excited and they can see that. But then they look in their house and they start to pack boxes and they're like, I don't even have enough boxes. And then, they're opening up, maybe there's something, they first moved in, it's like, oh, I'm not sure where to put this. So they put it in the attic.
Yeah.
And then they on the ladder, and they push that back and they look up there and it's full, right? But they've just spent like a day and a half going through boxes and doing this and trying to give it to their neighbors and all these different things, right? So I think that's probably one of the things, is like an initial shock of like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I had quite as much as I had, right? So I think that there is also maybe even I would use nostalgia.
Yeah.
Right? They go in their backyard and they say, oh, that's where, Johnny took his first step, or over there, oh, remember that? Oh, Trisha got hit with the badminton racket over there. And that's why it's so important. And I'm sure you guys do a fantastic job of being able to encourage them. Man, when you get set up over here, then you remember that it was the view. That was one of the reasons. So you kind of get in their mind, oh yeah, that view. Oh, Mount Baker, that's going to be so beautiful. and those kind of things. So
No, thanks for sharing, because that's one thing that we do is when I go into a listing appointment with a client is a lot of people think that you go to a listing appointment and you list their home the next day. It's actually something that takes weeks. It could be 3 to 4 weeks, or it could be a 1 to 2 month project where, like you said, people have been at their home for a very long time and they have a lot of stuff. So a lot of part of my job is educating them on what's the best way to showcase your home where there's not much stuff, where it feels decluttered, where we can do a proper cleanup of the yard, garage, inside of the house, where people walk in, they can imagine living there, but also highlighting the key features of the home that you fell in love with 20 to 25 years ago. It might be the view from the balcony of Mount Baker. It might be the kitchen with open floor plan. There's a lot of things, but I think one thing that we really take pride is educating them early on so they know that, hey, if this is the right time for us to move, eventually we're gonna have to move this stuff out. Why not start now so it makes it easier?
yeah, I mean, just getting the little start to that is, is really, really helpful. I think one of the things that we've tried to do is to come in and make the person feel more at ease. Yeah, there are a fair number of things here, but we've seen a lot worse. We've seen a lot larger projects, and then maybe educating them in regards to like recycling options, and things like that, where it's not so overwhelming, and maybe kind of break it down by section by section. Like, hey, yeah, there's going to be some paint that you're going to want to keep here that is touch up, but there's a bunch of paint over here that is maybe old projects that are finished.
Any horror stories? So what was the worst thing that you've seen, or anything that you want to talk about?
Some things I'm still going through trauma from. Um, no, I mean, it goes back to caring for people and mental health. I've seen some really, 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 really hard circumstances. The last thing I would say regarding that is to encourage members of families to stay in contact and try to keep a bridge of communication all the way along so that it doesn't get to some of those places that I've seen that, you're just basically looking for a match. That's all you want to do. You just want to set the whole thing on fire and be gone. You cannot imagine that a human being would be able to live in a place like that, never mind children. Going back, I know I mentioned that my first wife had passed away, but I've been married. My anniversary with my second wife will be on June 6th, and that'll be 16 years that we've been married. We have 2 daughters that we've had together, and then my 2 sons that came from the first marriage. Just to leave on a happy note is that I married up.
Well, congratulations. And so it'll be 16 years for you guys.
Yeah, on June 6th.
So what's the recipe for a successful marriage?
That's a great question. I like to say that that we don't ever use the word never.
Hmm.
That's always can be something that we can use, saying, "You never do this."
Hmm.
Um, it can be very negative and very, narrowing down the whole relationship into that, right? And the other one is "you always." Not using that either, because both of those are so accusational, right?
Mm.
But I think the most important thing that I could say from 16 years of marriage is uh, serving, finding ways to serve that other person. And that might be as simple as attentive, present listening.
Mm.
To my wife, that is a bouquet of flowers for her that has a ongoing radiance coming from it.
Cool.
When I'm able to do that.
I'm gonna actually give you a recommendation for flowers next time you're out in Langley.
Fantastic.
And let's go to the lightning round. Last couple of questions. If you had one piece of advice to someone where, let's just say they're a young person where they wanted to get ahead in life or build a successful business, what's one piece of advice that would help them?
Find people who respect themselves and are looking out at other people and finding ways that they can help people.
So it's really, you're saying look for mentors, quality people?
Look for look like see this is the thing, right? We have such a crisis in our society in regards to dads and their role. Um, but finding people who are not inward lookers but are outward, looking to bring transformation and finding ways how you can serve those people will transform your character.
Awesome. What's your favorite food?
Sushi,
Sushi. Got it.
my dory.
Awesome. And what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Oh man, that it's a long road ahead and don't be discouraged by minor setbacks.
Love it. And I think it comes back to the whole point. It's about the process and journey, not the end piece. Like, I read a lot of books about self-improvement, and one of the key things, one of my favorite authors is Brad Stulberg, and he always talks about people are so focused on climbing the mountain, getting to the peak of the mountain, where they forget how the journey of actually climbing and enjoying the process.
Yeah.
The last question is, Joel, where do you see Abbotsford in the next 10 to 15 years as a city?
Wow, that's a great question. I would I would anticipate at least 1/3 larger in size,
Mhm.
and I would say having a larger impact on all of British Columbia.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, I do think as a city, we're gonna grow. Kind of the goal for 2050 as an official community plan is to get a population around 250,000 people. But one thing that I think will stand out in Abbotsford for the people that live here, serve here, is we're gonna stay a united community. Joel, thank you for your time, buddy. It was a pleasure.
That was so good.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it, Gary.
Thank you.